Hey everybody, Mr. Walker here. The purpose of this video is to go over some corrections from our last test that we took on solving equations and expressions. Once you're finished, you'll be able to solve some problems and then let me know that you're done. I'll adjust your grade after that. All right, so these are the top four missed problems from that test. So let's go ahead and take a look at those problems together. Number two, select all expressions equivalent to negative 90x plus 60. Okay, so the word equivalent means equal to or the same. So we're looking for things that would be equal to negative 90x plus 60. Now, when I look at all of my options here from A through E, I notice that they all have a number outside of the parentheses. And I notice that there's some numbers in the parentheses. Whenever you're dealing with problems like this, we're going to be looking to use the distributive property. So I'm going to be multiplying what's outside with what's inside the parentheses. So let's take a look at A. Negative 30 times negative 3x would be positive 90x. This is for A. And then negative 30 times 2 would be negative 60. All right, so that one doesn't equal what we had up here at the very beginning, so I know that A is not an answer. Let's look at B. We'll distribute that 30 to the two numbers inside. 30 times negative 3 is negative 90, and then 30 times 2 is 60. The plus sign stays the same in between because there was a plus sign in between the two numbers in the parentheses. This one actually does work. Letter C. 10 times negative 9x is negative 90x. And then 10 times 6 is 60. There's another one that works. All right, on the next one, let's go ahead and multiply the two numbers. Letter D, we have negative 10 times positive 9. That's negative 90x. Minus, okay, negative 10 times 6 is negative 60. Now, at first glance, you're probably thinking, well, this one doesn't look like it's going to work. But if you remember that you can change all of your subtraction problems to addition problems. So we're going to change it to adding, and then change the sign of the next number to positive. So you could see that this answer right here is actually one of those options from above. All right, and then letter E. Going to multiply that negative 10 times everything inside. All right, so we have three options here that would be equivalent. Make sure that you remember that distributing the number outside means that you're multiplying the numbers inside. And it has to do all of them. Every number inside has to get multiplied by what's outside. All right, let's take a look at question number 3. Simplify the expression. Now, when I see the term simplify, it means to put it in fewer terms. As you can see, there's a lot of different terms here, right? A lot of numbers with x's. So we need to simplify it, make it simpler to write out. So I'm going to rewrite it. Now, just like in the problem from earlier, we remember that the number outside of the parentheses is actually going to get multiplied with the number that's inside the parentheses. So let's go ahead and do that first. We'll distribute the negative 4. Which means to multiply. That plus sign that's in between all these sets right here stays, and then we'll distribute the 6. All right, so we are going to be combining the like terms here. That means we're looking for x's to be combined with x's and y's to be combined with y's. But before I do that, sometimes what I like to do is to change the problems to all adding and not subtracting. And you could see over here that we have a subtraction problem. So I'm going to change that to negative 12x, keep, change to adding negative 30y. And I'll just go ahead and erase what was above it so it doesn't distract us. All right, now we can combine and add the like terms up together. So I'm looking at this negative 12 added to negative 12. That would be negative 24x. And then I have negative 8y added to negative 30. All right, so when I add those together, I get negative 38y. All right, so now looking at my options up above, I could tell that letter A is not 1 because they combine the x's and y's, which you can't do. Letter B is not good. Looks like they didn't add the correct numbers together somewhere. Letter C, very similar, not correct. Letter D is actually the correct answer. And the reason why is that when you subtract, you could change it to adding the opposite. So that's the same thing. Minusing 38y is the same thing as adding negative 38y, which is what we got here in the answer. All right. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at question number 4, which was a question that we had a lot of people missing. Now, the last two questions were ones that people had to create equations based on a problem that was given to us. So let's take a look. Bob bought a broken motor scooter, repaired it, and sold it for $130. That was a $50 less than 1.5 times what he paid for it. So I want you to picture somebody buying a scooter, fixing it and then selling it for $130. What they originally paid for it was $50 less than 1.5 times. So one way that I thought would be a good way to think about this problem is to think of the hangers that we were using before. All right. Now, on one side of the hanger, we'll put what he sold it for, which was $130. That $130 is equal to $50 less than 1.5 times what he paid for it. Now, we don't know what he paid for it, but in the second part of the question, it does say that use P as the amount of money that he had initially paid for the scooter. So 1.5 times P, so 1.5 times P minus or plus negative 50. So those would weigh the same. This side over here represents what he sold it for, and this is what he originally bought it for. But those two things are equal right now. Now, looking at my options above, I can see that, let's take a look. Letter A doesn't really match up. Letter D is the one that we're looking at. So we have 130 over here as one side of the equation, and then 1.5 times P minus 50, sorry, is the other side of the equation. C looks pretty similar. However, it's $50 less than 1.5 times. So it's not 50 minus 1.5 times P. It should be 1.5 times P minus 50. All right, and the last one. Another one where you're going to be creating an equation. Lisa made $201.50 selling 13 of her old video games. If she sold them all for the same price, what equation could she write to find P, the price that she sold each video game for? All right, we're going to do the same thing. Set up a hanger, and it's going to represent what she sold. And then over on the other side, it's going to represent all of the video games. So what she sold it for was $201.50. So that's what that bar represents. And then over here, she has all of her video games. So 13 video games times P, the price of each video game, should equal $201.50. So looking at these options, I could see that A is my best option. 13 times the price of the video games would give me $201.50. Now, if I do the math here, I'm going to use a calculator to find this out, it would tell me that each video game costs $15.50, or that's what she sold it for. That sounds pretty reasonable for a used game. If I look over here on this side and I want to figure out what the letter P would be, I would end up getting a really small number actually as an answer. Over here, the letter P would be equal to like 6 cents or even just a little bit less than that, which doesn't make very much sense at all that she would sell it for that cheap. Over on this side, letter C, if I multiply each side by 13 and get P by itself, remember all of these are just the price of the video games, 201 times 50 times, or $201.50 times 13 is $2,619.50. That's what the price of a video game costs. That doesn't make much sense either, right? So we could tell that that one doesn't make sense. And it's the same answer for letter D. So the best option, letter A. All right, make sure that you guys finish up with the assignment here. Then answer the questions that are at the end. Email me to let me know if you need me to reset your scores. And then also email me to let me know that you're finished. Have a great rest of your day.